Yo, what's going on, guys? Just want to give a big thank you to Dan for coming on the show. He was a super nice guy and a blast to talk to. All of Dan's links to his channels will be in the description below. Go show all of his channels some love. Another big thank you to the sponsor of this episode, Local Legend Apparel. Local Legend is an ever-evolving clothing company with continuous fresh designs and styles. From t-shirts to hoodies and hats, Local Legend has everything you need to stay stylish and fresh this summer. I mean, just check out their new Rip and Rip red, white, and blue golf tee. You can check out their apparel at bealocallegend.com. That's bealocallegend.com. All their links to their website and social media pages will be in the description below. Once again, a huge thank you to Local Legend for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get into the video. Welcome to UI. Today on the show we have an influencer/content creator with over 70K on TikTok, 17.8K on his Instagram, 7K on YouTube. Has a podcast called The Dan and Joe Show, which is only sponsored by one of the largest baseball accounts on the platform in The Baseballer. And oh yeah, did I mention this guy also plays some college ball? We've got the D-Sarmer, Dan Sarmiento, on the podcast today. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm pumped. I love the setup and we're bonding with the Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
Fins up, baby.
Hell, absolutely. Looking forward to talking some ball. But one of the first things I want to do is just tell us a little bit about you. For those who don't know, just tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Dan Sarmiento. I'm a 19-year-old from New Hampshire. I do content. I have a podcast. I do baseball. I'm a pitcher, so I do Road to 90, my developing my process through that. But my biggest passion, I'd say, is content. I'm making stuff every single day, posting stuff, reels, TikTok, all that stuff. Mostly the podcast format, and we're talking baseball, all things baseball, news, and culture. And we're just trying to grow the game and grow our podcast. And I'm having fun, and I edit all my stuff. So I feel I'm more of an editor than content creator. I just feel I'm really time, but yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, your podcast is dope. But before we get to that, you've one of the big topics that I've been noticing on your Instagram and on your TikToks is the talk between the differences between D3, D2, and Division I baseball. For me, I agree with you that I feel like there are certain D2 teams that could handle D1 teams, but I know that ruffles some feathers. I know a lot of people got a little upset about that. So, I mean, just what do you believe when it comes to Division II versus D1, and what kind of differences there really are?
Here's the thing, there's studs at every level. Obviously you're looking at Power 5 schools, okay, they're all studs, but there's studs at every level. The difference between D1, D2, and D3, obviously I don't know all the answers, but the difference from what I've seen is depth. A really good D3 will have be really top heavy, some good guys, but then it's just those D1 schools get the real all around depth, 1 through 35 in their roster. Those are all studs. So that's the biggest difference. But obviously you see guys drafted at all levels, but most guys are drafted at a D1. That's how it is because they get the most talent. But yeah, that did piss a lot of people off. Joe, especially my co-host, he has some really hot takes about that.
Yeah.
More in the middle, oh yeah, well, I don't know. But he was just no, they're a D3 team that is smack.
Yeah.
I'll tell you really good. You know what I mean? I love it. It blew up the TikTok and it was great. So I had fun making it. And some people agreed, some people disagreed. But as long as we're starting the dialogue, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, I'm a comment reader. I'm not on my own videos. I stay away from the comments on my own videos, but I like to read comments on other people's videos, and it makes me laugh to see how much people not just care, but how much people will go against it. I'll see paragraphs and the TikTok comments and the YouTube comments. It's a lot.
It's go and take a walk.
Yeah, and a lot of it's from people who didn't play. You could tell.
Never play baseball, so it's hey, you're helping my engagement.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's funny. TikTok's a funny world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. Especially if you think that you're gonna go to a D2 game and you're not gonna see at least one guy over on the bench who, even if he's not starting, if he's a pitcher who's not throwing at some gas, you're mistaken. There's a team that I'm going to play against next year, Washington Jefferson. They're one of the best D3 teams in the country, and they can play with some D1 teams in the area. They have some of the most insane talent for a Division III school I've ever seen. And it's just wild to think that some people think that some teams like that might not be able to hang with some D1s if you've watched them.
Yeah, right.
But another thing I want to talk to you about is travel baseball. You made a big video about Canes the other day, which I agree with everything you said about it. How there's 98 teams and only 2 of them are really the real quote unquote Canes teams, and just talk a little bit about that.
Dude, travel ball has, since I've been, I started playing travel ball when I was 9. That was the first time people were really playing ball from that young of an age, because that was 10 years ago. So that was 2012 I started playing travel baseball. That was when it was really starting to come up, and now it's just a full-on monopoly, I guess. It's not all bad, but it's so many parents and kids are being taken advantage of just because of the money. You can pay you can charge so much money for really nothing in return. Like, you got to prioritize development, and like, no shade to Canes, like amazing organization.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of kids who played Canes, even like the Canes Northeast teams, but they don't make it known as it could be that
No.
there are 150 Canes teams. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not Canes national, and that's fine. Like, you don't, not everyone's going to be a Power 5 SEC commit, but it's like they're putting up this facade where it's like, hey, Canes, which is great, smart marketing tactic. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's a smart marketing tactic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from an advertising standpoint, oh, they're bringing in dough, but it's,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know, it's questionable morally. I don't know. There's so much gray area when it comes to like travel baseball now.
Yeah, I can't agree more. You know, I've been able to play you know, travel baseball for a while with a team, with a couple teams I felt comfortable with. I'm lucky enough to have a league. It's called Scene Park, right by where I live, and it's basically like just like a summer league, basically like how college kids go to play summer leagues. It's like that, but for 18 through, you know, 16 through 18. And I see Division 1 commits all the time down there, D2, D3 guys. And, you know, I see the real Canes guys. There are a couple guys that do play for the Canes national team there. And then I see the guys who play for, like, Canes, like Ohio, or Canes, Indiana. And there's a difference. There is a very clear and distinct difference between the Power 5 guys that actually play for the national team and the ones who just paid a bunch of money to have Canes on their helmets. But no disrespect to Canes. It's just, there is a difference.
Yeah, exactly. All you gotta know is there's a difference.
Yeah, and that leads me into my next thing. These events, these perfect game events and these PBR events. You know, where guys are crow hopping from shortstop to get that extra velo, you know, to impress the scouts. What do you think about all that? How not, I don't want to say funny, but how much of a benefit is really a PBR event?
Look, I think PBR is good 1 or 2 times. Like, get your velo public, get your stats public, your 60 time, get some video. Especially if you're not good with video, they can do it for you. You can send it out to coaches and stuff. Sometimes there's even coaches at those PBR events, so those are good ones to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like constantly going to like 10. It's like going to 10 in a 2-year span. That's just a waste of money. Or like even the perfect game ones, dude, like $750, $800.
Oh yeah.
Plus sometimes they're all in Florida, so you gotta pay for like flights and all that stuff, and you're not getting any more exposure than like a video on Twitter would get you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, come on. And look, Perfect Game's great. Another great, like, no shade to Perfect Game. They do great stuff. PBR is awesome too. But like, again, like, parents got to know, like, why are you spending $800, and could that $800 be better spent elsewhere? And really do that research beforehand. But yeah, I mean, some are good, some aren't. You know.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like if anybody asked me, like, you know, to do like whether they would want to do a PBR event or this or that, I would say the first thing you need to do is get a video of yourself with a pocket radar and tag flat ground pitching. That's the first thing I would do.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said in that video. Like, it's all you gotta do in the pocket radar.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that part.
Dude, the video, I said it in, it was probably one of the TikToks I did. I said, look, a pocket radar is half the money than the Perfect Game showcase, and you can use that all the time. And your phone, everyone has a phone, so yeah, it makes sense. But
So travel baseball and everything out of the way. I had to bring it up for a little bit just because it's such a heavy topic on your channel. You talk about it a lot. The thing I really want to talk about though is you're an Azusa Pacific commit. You're playing college baseball. So how did you? I know you kind of told the story of how you decided on your channel, but just as a reminder, how did you settle on Azusa Pacific, and how did all of that come about?
Yeah, dude. So I did a post-grad year. So I was really a 2021 graduate out of high school, but then I did a post-grad, so reclassed to 22, went to a school in Maine. And it was really just because I didn't love my offers out of high school. Like, you know, they were great schools. Like, don't get me wrong. It was like a Stonehill, American International, Babson, like really good schools around the New England area, but none of them excited me, and I couldn't really explain why. I was just like, I don't really know if I want to go there, which is weird because like those are great schools, but it just didn't excite me. And then over the summer going into my post-grad year, we went to California on like a family trip, and I was like, oh, this excites me. Like, let me go out here. Like, this is where stuff's going on.
Yeah.
So then I kind of reshifted my whole focus in like August, and I was like, no, I'm putting all my focus on California. NAIA, JUCO, D1, D2, D3, I don't care. I'm reaching out to any single school in Southern California. And it just so happened that none of those schools got back to me. But what did happen is a coach at Gordon College in Massachusetts saw me pitch. I had a really good game that game. I was like 82 to 84. I think I hit 85 a couple times. So it's lefty, but that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Recruitability wise. But, and he goes, hey, Dan, like after the game, he's like, hey, what are your thoughts for college? Like, you did a great job today. I was like, oh, thanks. Like, I really want to go to California, like, honestly. And he goes, oh, you know what? I got a buddy out in California. He coaches for a team out there. They're pretty good, too. I'll hit him up and let you know, and he'll call you. I was like, oh, cool. I don't think I knew what the team was when he said that. Oh, any school. I was like, perfect. And so Coach Spogdis from Azusa Pacific gave me a call. He's like kind of an older guy, and he goes, "Hey man, like we saw your video. Would love you to come out and visit. I'm actually leaving. I'm gonna go coach at Tufts, but we got a new coach coming in, and we're always looking for lefties. So why don't you come on and visit, and you can see the school, and if you like it, great." So I went out on a visit in October. And their new coach, Coach Nieuwenhuis, Nieuwenhuis, it's hard to pronounce. He played in the MLB. He was on the Mets for a while. He goes, "Yeah, like we loved your video. Like we love to offer your spot. And always looking for lefties." And I was like, "Great, sign me up." So I was like, "I'm committed." So that worked out perfectly. It turns out it's an amazing program, and I got really lucky. And they were like in the super regional this year for D2, and they did their thing. So I'm excited to get out there and go. They got some dudes. So yeah.
Yeah, things work in mysterious ways sometimes when it comes to recruiting. Yeah, and where you land. Did California meet your expectations? And has everything kind of been met like standard wise? Like when you went out there, was it what you expected?
Yeah, man. So my thing is like I love baseball, I really do, but I love competition more, and I love making content more. Like honestly, my priority is making content. If I can combine them, great, that's awesome. But I want to use baseball as a launch pad for a bigger and better career. Not bigger, more influential career. I think I'd be more influential as a content creator and influencer than I can as a baseball player, just based off talent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be I know how I'm pretty self-aware. Like I'm throwing 84. Like I'm probably not, but I think I can make really good videos. So that's where my talents lie. So Southern California is the place to be for that. So that's why I'm very excited to get out there, and I just love it. It's just a different vibe than New England. I don't know if you've ever been out to New England. Yeah, New England's cool. Like I love it out here. I probably go back all the time. I'll go back, but I'm just saying like California for what I want to do. That's like the hub, Southern California especially. So yeah, I'm very excited to live out there.
Yeah, there's also no snow in California, so you don't got to worry about the 5 a.m. jitters when you wake up. I know all too much about that as well. It's not fun. But so was there like a moment where you said, I really want to start taking this content thing seriously? I really want to put my head down and really work at it hard. Was there one of those moments for you, or a moment of clarity, so to speak?
Yeah, dude. So I've been making content my whole life. I've been making videos, but for a lot of times I kind of kept it private. I didn't want people to make fun of me. Like 7th, 8th freshman year, like I did like Madden videos in front of a face cam, and they weren't like good videos. It was just like, "Yo, what's up, guys? Pro pack opening," and like it's
MMG.
MMG, exactly. MMG was like, dude, that was my guy for so long. Post notifications on and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, huge MMG guy. But that was my inspiration, and I just kind of made those videos, and if people found out and talked about them, I got super embarrassed. I was like, no, like, it's just whatever. I'm just messing around with it. It was for fun. But I loved it. Like, I really did. I love the process of making a video. So I'm starting from scratch and then making something presentable and something that I'm proud of. So when COVID came around, I hadn't posted for a while. I kind of like I don't even know what I was doing. I was just playing baseball, training, and COVID happens. I'm like, man, I got to do something. Oh, let me start doing my road to 90. Like I was coming back from a rotator cuff. I'm like, let me start making some content about that. I started doing some vlogs, and like they weren't good, but I was just making, it was quarantine. That was the weirdest time, bro.
It was so weird.
So weird. It's a weird flashback memory thinking about it. But
yeah.
Eventually, on and off making content. Some videos did well, some videos didn't, but they weren't like popping. It wasn't anything crazy. It was more just like, I want to do it, so I'm going to keep going. Then I stopped posting from like April 2021 to like August 2021, just because I wasn't feeling it. I was kind of in a weird headspace. Just graduated high school. I was like, man, like I don't know what I want to do. I get out to Bridgeton, and I'm like, you know what? Bridgeton was the pro scouted school I went to, and I was like, you know what, man, I really want to start doing this stuff. And I can't really care what people think about me, because it's like, that's just going to cloud my vision. Like, I just got to have tunnel vision. If people are with me, they're with me. If they're not, it doesn't matter. Let's just like go and see what I can build. And for the first few months, it was like trial and error up until like December. I'm just figuring out what worked and getting better at editing. And then eventually, like January, February, March, I started taking it really seriously. I was like 2 posts a day, 3 a day, weekly uploads on YouTube. And then I'm just getting better and better. And then eventually stuff started popping off with the podcast. Like I found a format that worked. And now I'm just kind of running with the momentum. And I've gone from like, I don't know, beginning of March is when I started having the growth. I probably went from like 4,000 to 5,000 followers.
You had a boom.
Yeah, it was like 5,000 followers, probably like March 10th. And now it's May 31st. And I'm at like, 18K or something like that on Instagram, which is huge. Like 30K to 70K on TikTok and 4K to 7K on YouTube. Like I know this stuff. Like I look at this stuff every single day. Like I have those numbers like ingrained in my head because I'm obsessed with this. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, all right, what can I make today that can, and ultimately just comes down to like how many people can I inspire? Not that I'm some like, but like how can you get someone to watch a video and want to watch the whole thing? And what am I offering to this person to make them want to watch the whole video? What do they get from it? Entertainment, comedic
Yeah.
comedy, any of that stuff. Like, what can I offer? And then in return, I get viewer retention and an audience and all that stuff. And then eventually, hopefully, money comes into play. But that's what fires. As you can see, like
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it because I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way.
I love this shit. It's awesome. It's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit 7K on YouTube today. I think
Just did. I already updated my description. I have every time I hit a next threshold of subscribers, I put the date next to it in my description. I'm gonna keep doing that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed because when I typed up the script for their intro earlier today, I had 6.9 or 6.98 or something, and I was like, and like 25 minutes ago, I'm like, I'm gonna double check to make sure he did or did not hit 7, and I saw you hit it. I'm like, okay, I need to change that.
Yeah, I just hit 7K. Yeah, it's awesome, man. So those are fun, and YouTube's hard to grow on, but it's the most sustainable and like most profitable. It's the best platform to be an influencer content creator on. So I'm just trying to grow that as much as possible. But yeah.
But TikTok can really help explode, like make somebody blow up on other social media platforms.
I'm trying to leverage my TikTok following and the stuff I get from TikTok and push traffic that over to my other social medias. Like TikTok's great for eyes, Instagram's great for like followers, and then YouTube's great for fans. That's kind of how I look at like the funnel or whatever. So I'm trying to get everybody over, cross-pollinate everyone to everything. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I would be remiss if I didn't, talk about your podcast. That's one of the main things I really wanted to talk about because I love the style of it. Sometimes I feel like podcasts can be way too long and extended, and I feel like shorter, not lesser, but shorter episodes, create a better retention rate. Is that something that you focused on heavily when you created this podcast?
100%, bro. Because I was trying to think about how could this resonate with the most amount of people, and obviously like retention rate's the biggest thing. Click-through rate is one of the biggest things. Like, how can I get someone to click on this video on YouTube and watch it for a significant amount over the way through? So it's like, sure, I could do a 60-minute podcast and like maybe it would be better. We can get deeper into topics, blah blah blah. But it's like it isn't better because way less people are going to be interested in it and they're not going to watch it. And so that's why I do chapter markers and then like pretty much a hard cap at like 25 minutes or under. Like no one's gonna care. Like maybe some people would care, but it's like YouTube doesn't care unless the people care. So I want everybody to watch like 50% or plus of the video. And that's only like 12 minutes and it's a podcast, so it's easier to just sit down and kind of let it play in the background.
Yeah, background noise.
Like background noise, people love that, and it's about baseball. It's a wedge in the niche of baseball where it's like I kind of found something that people like. People love podcasts, but it's like there's a few baseball podcasts, but they're not like 19-year-olds, and we're trying to cover different topics like travel ball and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make it, and there's just such a broad audience for like baseball. Like baseball's huge. It's like we underestimate how big it is as a sport and as like for audience. So yeah, I don't remember what your question was. Something about the pod. Oh yeah, the retention rate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was intentional. To answer your question, it was intentional to make it shorter. Yeah.
Gotcha. So your podcast partner Joe, is that your friend? I don't really know much about Joe. He hasn't been on my timeline nearly as much as you have, obviously. But how did you decide? I want to do it with this guy, and we're just gonna go for it.
Dude, Joe's my dog. So he went to Bridgeton with me, and that's where our first studio was, in Bridgeton, and it was at our school. Like we had like a little studio there that we made our podcast, or I made the podcast in, and I was like, dude, you want to we were like experimenting with like a philosophical deep podcast, like just for clips on TikTok in like February, January, just to see how they did. Those clips suck. Don't look them up. I hope you don't. I'm going to keep them up because they're funny, but we were recording on our phone and it looks so goofy. But I say all that to say, me and Joe always had good conversations. We kind of saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff, and we just had good chemistry. Like we were just boys, and we always would go to dinner together and just talk about random shit. And eventually we were like, dude, like what if we just made ones for baseball? So we started making clips for baseball and put them on my DStarm page. And then I was like, dude, we could make this like a full podcast. And then so I started doing that, and I always know, like I know how to edit and I know how to make videos look pretty good. And I was like, okay, let me just do that for baseball, and then baseball podcast. And then so he's kind of my homie. He doesn't really do much aside from like talk and stuff, but like that's totally okay because it's not like if he went away, it wouldn't be like because I do 100% of the work doesn't mean if he left, there's still 100% of the podcast. That'd only be 50% of the podcast if he left because he's such an integral part to it. Like he's the person I'm talking to. He has hot takes. He's not afraid to say like crazy, like outlandish, like Shohei's overrated. Like I'm afraid to say that, not because like obviously I don't think Shohei's overrated, but I wouldn't want to say that because my name's attached to it and I'm trying to build a personal brand, so I want to have credibility. He, on the other hand, doesn't care. He's like, I'll do whatever you want I'll say whatever you want to get views. I'll just help you out. So I'm like, perfect, dude.
Yeah, he's your Max Kellerman.
He's my Max Kellerman.
He's your Max
exactly.
Kellerman. Yes.
We've had a lot of conversations like that where he's like, dude, I'll say whatever. I'm like, I don't want to like go crazy, but you know.
Yeah. You know, continuing a little bit more on the podcast, I'm not gonna drain you on just talking about it, but how did, you know, being you know, sponsored and pushed by the Baseballer happen? Because that's huge. I mean, that's one of the largest baseball accounts on Instagram who posts like continuously, and to have the link of your podcast in the bio where it just takes one click, how big is that for you guys, and how did it all come to fruition?
Yeah, dude. So the Baseballer, the guy's name is Chad. He's a dude. He's 25 or 26 from Texas or from Minnesota, and he's just like my guy. Like that's his full-time job. He does that so well, like so consistent, so good at what he does, and he just knows how to make videos that people want to watch. But none of his content is like his own content, right? It's like MLB. He's like finding the best highlights, but he doesn't own the rights to the content.
Yeah.
So where we come into play, where it's like a Barstool and a Pardon My Take, where it's like he helps push it. He will help with funding and merch and stuff once we get to that point, and all the logistical stuff. But you know, we supply the actual content, and so that's why it's a perfect partnership, because I know how to make content and he wants his name on stuff, so it pushes his brand, so it works out. And dude, me and Chad have been talking for a while, because like a year ago I'd be like DMing him like, yo, can you repost this video for me? And they weren't worth it, but I was just like, yo, can you repost this, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, respect your hustle, like here's my number. So I always had his number. We would text back and forth here and there, and then finally he was like, yo, your podcast, like tell me about that. And then that was like a month and a half ago. So we've been trying to figure this out for so long. Wasn't really sure how it was going to work out. Then we just talked like almost every day about logistically like what it's going to look like, and we're still figuring out as we're going. But he's really just that push, and we're for the long term, so we're still trying to figure out like what hits and what doesn't. What is he going to repost? What is he going to collaborate with? And how's he going to help? And then I'm just going to keep making videos better and better. So that's where we're at. But yeah, Chad's my guy. Shout out Chad. Shout out the Baseballer. He's built something really dope. So I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. One of my favorite accounts on Instagram is the Baseballer, and it's awesome for you guys to have that platform, you know, to push your product out on. You know, one of the last things, you know, or I got two more things that I'd like to talk about real quick. The one, you know, you said you went from you and Joe having like a smaller kind of, you know, studio back at Bridgerton. Now you have a studio in Boston, is that correct?
Yep, Boston, yes sir.
Boston. So how did you find it? How did you, you know, be like, I want to go full in with this. I'm gonna get the studio. We're gonna do this. How did that all come, you know, into play?
It's funny, like a lot of this stuff has been pure luck. Like it's so lucky that Bridgeton had like a studio that we could use, and we never really asked anyone if we could use it. I just started using it, and then it just became like our place. So I was like, oh, okay, it's ours now. And no one else really went to it. And Boston, so my dad works at Boston University. He teaches there part time, and I was like, hey, do they have any like studios? Like it's summer, no one's gonna use it. And he's like, oh yeah, we got like 5 or 6 like professional studios. Like,
that's awesome.
BU News and TV station. He works in the College of Communications, so that's like really his like route right there.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, summer school. I bet no one's gonna use them. And then one day we just like showed up and talked to the guy, and he was like, like it's no big, like no one's gonna use them. And
yeah.
I'm technically under my dad. Like I'm my dad's TA for his class, like teacher's assistant.
Yeah.
And so I have access to his stuff. But like the guys who work there are super cool too. So it's free of charge for me, because it's like my dad's faculty, blah blah blah, and that's really cool. And obviously, like we have to be very respectful about the stuff.
Yeah.
But I know how to use it. I know how to do all that stuff. So I don't care. But yeah, we got super lucky, and it just so happens to be a 5-minute walk from Fenway, which is crazy. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And so I asked Dave Sims this earlier. It's kind of my thing. I like to ask people, you know, if you could give one piece of advice for the route and lane that you're in, if they want to copy and do something similar to the route and lane that you're in when it comes to content creation, what piece of advice would you give to people who are coming up right now and trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, dude, I think the biggest thing is consistency, right? Like if you have that overarching, is it overarching or whatever?
I'm the wrong guy.
If you're consistently consistent, everything else is gonna come into play, because you're gonna get better over time. You're gonna learn more. You're gonna do more. You're gonna get more feedback from people. If you're constantly putting stuff out that in any realm, sure, social media, like that's the best example. It's the most like linear one. If you're consistent, you're gonna grow. But even in like the gym, like if you're just consistent every time, maybe the first time you feel really awkward and really weird and out of place, the more you go, just naturally, human nature, we're gonna adapt to it and get better. Same goes for literally any venture. If you're consistent and you put your mind to something every single day, you will get better, especially if you're constantly learning, asking questions, and just like moving towards that goal. Like you have that North Star. If you're just always moving forward, you're not moving backwards or to the side, you're golden. So just be consistent. That's it.
Awesome, man. Well, Dan's links are going to be in the top right-hand corner for all of his social medias as well as the description. Dan, yep, right there. That one of the ways. Yeah, that way. I appreciate you stopping by, my man. This was awesome to talk.
Yeah, dude, hit me up whenever you need anything. Like, you got, I mean, it seems like you know what you're doing, so I could use someone like you on board because it's tough, dude.
Hey, listen, you just shoot me a text, bro. You just shoot me a
Yeah,
text.
you got my number, man. So hit me up whenever if you got questions. Just let me know when you post this and stuff, and send your links and stuff like that.
I will let you know for sure.
Yeah, so I will repost all this and push it out. But yeah, guys, follow me. But
yes, follow Dan. Follow Dan. Thank you so much, my man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, had a blast.